The night shift at St. Helena Medical Center was usually quiet, but Faith had other plans. The emergency room doors slammed open as paramedics rushed in with a young girl, no more than 7, her face pale, her breathing shallow, her heartbeat nearly gone. Nurses shouted orders, doctors scrambled, and the atmosphere filled with panic as they realized how critical she was. They wheeled her straight into Trauma Room 4, where 22 doctors had already attempted resuscitation over the last 30 minutes. Every method had failed, her small chest had stopped rising, her pulse had disappeared, and the monitors screamed a deadly flatline. The lead physician finally stepped back, sweat dripping down his forehead as he whispered, "We're losing her." Outside the trauma room stood a janitor wearing an old dark green uniform, pushing a cleaning cart. His name was Ethan Cole, a 35-year-old single father who worked nights so he could take care of his daughter during the day. Most people barely noticed him. Some doctors didn't even know his name. But everyone knew he never missed a shift, never complained, and somehow carried a quiet strength that made even the long nights feel lighter. Ethan paused his mopping and glanced through the small window of the trauma room. His breath caught when he saw the child. Something, maybe instinct, maybe fate, pulled him toward the door. Inside, the mood was heavy with defeat. The senior doctor looked around and said, "Time of death," but before he could finish, a soft yet firm voice came from behind him. "Don't stop." The entire team turned toward the janitor standing in the doorway. The nurses were startled. The doctors frowned. Outsiders never interrupted emergency procedures. The lead doctor snapped, "Sir, you can't be in here. This is a sterile environment." Ethan didn't move. "She's still here. Don't give up yet." A few nurses exchanged confused looks. One whispered, "Is crying?" And he was. Ethan's eyes glistened, not with fear, but with a deep, personal pain that none of them understood. The lead doctor stiffened. "Sir, please step out." Ethan stepped forward instead. "He used to be a combat medic," he said quietly. His voice trembled with memories. "And I've seen one thing doctors often forget. Sometimes you're treating a body, but you're not talking to the child who's fighting to stay." A shocked silence filled the room. No one had ever heard him speak more than a few words before. The lead doctor hesitated, struggling between protocol and the strange certainty in Ethan's tone. Another doctor muttered, "Let him try. We've already lost her." Ethan walked slowly toward the little girl. Her tiny hand lay lifeless beside her. He took it into his own palm, kneeling beside the bed, ignoring the beeping machines and the anxious eyes around him. He leaned close and whispered, "Sweetheart, if you can hear me, I'm right here. You aren't alone. You can't give up. Not tonight." The room stayed silent, the flatline still humming. Ethan placed 2 fingers gently on her sternum. "Lower compressions," he murmured. "She's too small for the pressure they were using." The team looked at one another. He was right. They had been following standard adult compressions in panic. He guided the doctor's hands. "Here, slow, gentle, match her size." The doctor followed, adjusting pressure and rhythm. Ethan placed his other hand on her forehead, lowering her chin slightly. "She has restricted airflow. Tilt her neck just a little. She needs a clear path." A nurse repositioned her head according to his instruction. Another second passed, then another, and suddenly, a faint blip flashed across the monitor. A nurse gasped. "Her heart, there's activity." The doctor leaned forward. "Again, keep going." The blip grew stronger. A pulse formed, weak, but present. Then the little girl's chest trembled, once, twice, and she sucked in a small, shaky breath. The room erupted with shouts. "She's breathing. We've got her. She's back." The senior doctor stared at Ethan as if seeing him for the first time in his life. Why didn't we know about your medical training?" Ethan didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the little girl as oxygen was placed over her mouth and her heartbeat steadied. He whispered, "Good job, sweetheart. Keep breathing. Don't stop now." The doctors moved quickly, stabilizing her, preparing her for transfer to pediatrics. But before they wheeled her out, something unexpected happened. Her small hand reached out weakly and touched Ethan's sleeve. Everyone froze. Her eyes fluttered open, just for a moment, and she whispered something no one else could hear. Ethan leaned closer. She said, "Thank you, Daddy." The words stabbed him like lightning. His hands trembled. His throat closed, because the word wasn't meant for him. It was meant for her father, the one who wasn't there. The one who had abandoned her. The one Ethan wished it could be for every child who felt alone. A tear slipped down his cheek as he gently brushed her forehead. "You're safe now," he whispered. "That's all that matters." As they wheeled her out, the hospital director stormed in. "What is going on here? Why is a janitor in the trauma room?" The senior doctor stepped forward. "He saved her life. We would have called time of death if he hadn't intervened." The director blinked. Did what?" Ethan sighed. "Please don't fire anyone. He just did what any father would." But the director shook his head. "No, Mr. Cole, you misunderstand." He turned to the doctors. "Who approved a janitor to perform medical procedures?" No one spoke. The director walked up to Ethan. "Effective immediately, you're transferring out of janitorial work." Ethan stiffened. "Sir, please, I need this job. I can't lose my income. I have a daughter." The director raised his hand. "You're transferring to the medical response training program. Fully sponsored. We need people like you back in uniform." The shock hit him like a wave. He looked around the room, the doctors cheering, the nurses smiling, the little girl being wheeled away alive. The director continued, "You saved her life. You have knowledge, instincts, and compassion our staff desperately need. We're offering to retrain you as a certified emergency responder. If you accept." Ethan swallowed hard. His voice cracked. "I haven't practiced medicine in years. Not since my wife died. I left everything behind." A nearby nurse touched his shoulder gently. "Maybe, today is your sign to come back." Ethan felt something shift inside him. A heaviness he had carried for so long finally loosened. He nodded slowly. "I accept." His words sent another cheer through the room. Later that night, when his shift ended, he drove home and found his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, asleep on the couch waiting for him. Her arm was wrapped around a stuffed bunny missing one eye. She stirred awake when he entered. "Daddy, you're late," he smiled softly. "I had a big night." She sat up, rubbing her eyes. "Bad night or good night?" He knelt beside her, pulling her into a warm embrace. "A night where someone got a second chance. And maybe, I did too." Lily peered up at him curiously. "Are you okay?" Ethan kissed the top of her head. "I'm better than okay." The next morning, as sunlight crept through their old apartment windows, Ethan stood before the mirror wearing a fresh medical trainee badge clipped to his worn shirt. The words printed on it read, "Emergency Medical Technician, Trainee, Ethan Cole." He felt something he hadn't felt in years. Belonging, purpose, redemption. His daughter looked up at him proudly. "Daddy, you look like a superhero." He smiled, eyes soft. "Sweetheart, last night reminded me of something." "What?" He lifted her gently into his arms. "That sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes, they wear janitor uniforms until the world remembers who they really are." And as he carried her out the door toward a new life, Ethan Cole knew one thing for certain. It wasn't 22 doctors who filed the little girl. It was 22 reminders that sometimes the right person arrives when the world least expects it. And that night, a janitor didn't just save a child. He saved himself, too.